Welcome to another week of STEAM. Happy fall. A lot of people have a favorite thing in the fall. Some people like to go out and look for different color leaves, all the beautiful fall colors of red, yellow, orange, brown. Others like to jump into leaf piles. My favorite thing is something a little different. I wonder if you can look at the clues around to see what my favorite thing is. Sounds like you were very observant. You might have noticed that I have pumpkins everywhere. One of my favorite things is creating pumpkins, carving pumpkins, and even eating the fruit of the pumpkin baked into a pumpkin pie. Fall is one of my favorite times of year. I wonder what you like about fall. I thought it would be really fun for this week if we did an activity with pumpkins, since I think just about everybody enjoys pumpkins. So why don't we go through our slideshow and find out how we can make our creations. So first we're going to examine the size, shape, texture, and color of pumpkins. I wonder what size pumpkins can be. This one, sorry, my head landed in a really weird spot. So let's move them over here. All right, there we go. This is one of the tiniest pumpkins I have ever seen. I don't think it's the world record though. It fits right in their hand. And some pumpkins are medium, and this one is a very large pumpkin. In fact, it holds the world record. I wonder how many pounds that pumpkin weighs. The color of pumpkins can be as a variety. Most people think of orange when you say pumpkins, but they can actually be many different colors. When they first start growing on the vine, they start out as a green color, and then they turn yellow before they become their final color of orange. But there are some other varieties of pumpkins that aren't orange. Here you can see a bluish gray one, a white one, that would make a great ghost, wouldn't it? Red, and even blue and multicolored. The texture pumpkins, most pumpkins have a smooth portion. My pumpkin here is very smooth, but there are some bumpy parts on it. The pumpkin on the right is very bumpy or has a rough texture. Pumpkins come in a variety of shapes. Most people think of the round, fat pumpkin, but they can also be oval shaped or even shaped like a head. My favorite story during the fall is called Spookley the Square Pumpkin. So why don't we take a listen? And the reason it's my favorite is because it inspires me to think that not all pumpkins are the same, and then we can create our own unique pumpkins after listening. Let's give a listen. Whoops. Let's go back. There we go.
Today's story, The Legend of Spookley the Square Pumpkin, written by Joe Troiano, illustrated by Susan Banta. One day in the pumpkin patch, the strangest little pumpkin hatched. Spookley wasn't like his friends. Where they had curves, he had ends. Spookley was different. He was odd. He was rare. Spookley the pumpkin wasn't round. He was square. While the round pumpkins had fun rolling along, poor Spookley sat there shaped all wrong. He tried and tried with all his might, but he couldn't budge. He just sat tight. The other pumpkins teased him because he was square. Spookley wished he was round and could roll everywhere. That is, until one night when they all discovered It's fine to be round when the weather is fair, but there are times it's better to be a square. Halloween was just a day away when a mighty storm blew across the bay. It tossed the round pumpkins to and fro. It snapped their vines, then off they'd go, bouncing left, slamming right, banging, bashing. What a sight! Spookley sat there filled with fright, but glad to be a square that night. Suddenly, the fence gave way. 3 pumpkins rolled out and into the bay. Spookley knew what must be done. It was up to him. He was the one. He teetered, he tottered, he tipped, he tried, and finally flipped. He was on his side. Again he tipped, again he flopped, again he flipped, and then he stopped. Right in the gap where the fence had snapped, he blocked the way. The hole was capped. All the pumpkins shouted, "Hooray!" Spookley the Square pumpkin had saved the day. Then a pumpkin hit him with a whack. He thought his shell would start to crack. Then another one hit him with a thump, and another one with a smack. Then one by one a ton of pumpkins piled on the stack, with a bang and a bash and a crunch and a crash, and then it all went black. At dawn, when the storm had stopped, the farmer came out and checked his crop. He picked his pumpkins up one by one and laid them out in the warm, dry sun. And when the last was moved away, the farmer could see what had saved the day. An odd-shaped pumpkin, short and dense, was wedged against the broken fence. Its shell was bruised, its stem was too. But there was brave little Spookley, sitting straight and strong and true. Right then and there, the farmer knew. Of all the seeds he'd ever sown, Spookley's were the most special that had ever grown. And the next year when it was time to sow, he sowed those seeds in every row. He watered and weeded and watched them grow. And, oh, that morning about mid-June, when the pumpkin patch began to bloom, there were tiny pumpkins everywhere, hundreds and hundreds, most of them square. But some were cubes, and some rectangular, some were flat, and others triangular. There was a bed of bright red ones and 2 rows of blue. There were polka dot pumpkins and rainbow ones too. There were thousands of colors and hundreds of shapes. Oh, what a garden variety makes. Now, every year on Halloween, Spookley's patch is quite a scene. People come from far and near to see what wonders grew that year. They stop, they gawk, they gaze, they stare. Then they pick a pumpkin that's round, triangular, or perfectly square. Now you know the story of how Spookley grew. Maybe someday, if you tell someone too, that someone you tell might go tell another. And maybe one day we all will discover you can't judge a book or a pumpkin by its cover. The end.
Wow, that book really inspired me to try to think, what could I create? So our engineering challenge for this week is what kind of pumpkin can you create to decorate your house using only your imagination and materials and tools that you have at home? Remember, just like people are all unique, we want to create our own unique pumpkin. Let's take a minute and start imagining what could we use from around the house to create. Some of the materials you may have at home are colored paper, white paper, boxes, cardboard tubes, bags, egg cartons, empty plastic containers, or even buttons. My favorite spot to look is in the recycle bin because it always has a lot of interesting things. Tools you might have at home are crayons, markers, scissors, tape, glue, or even a stapler. Remember, before you use any materials at home, be sure to check with your family and make sure it's okay to use them. Now, when you're planning how to make your spookly inspired pumpkin, I want you to think about size, color, texture, and shape. Some pumpkins are very small, and maybe that's the kind you want to make. Or you might want to make a medium one, or even a large one. My large pumpkin actually has 3 pumpkin heads on it. Just like in the video, you can make your pumpkin any color you want. So it could be red, blue, green, pink, purple, polka dot, rainbow, yellow, or you can even create something different from here. Remember, whatever you want from your imagination is what you're going to put into your creation. You can also have different textures. It could be smooth like this pumpkin or rough and bumpy like this pumpkin. Or it might be a combination. The final choice you have is for shape. What kind of shape do you want your pumpkin to be? I noticed that some of the pumpkins in Spookley's pumpkin patch were triangular and square, and some of them were shaped like a cone. I even saw a heart pumpkin in there. You have 2 different types of pumpkins you can make. You can make a 2-dimensional pumpkin. That means that it is flat and it just has a height and a width. In a minute, I'll show you a sample one of those. Here is a 3-dimensional pumpkin. That not only has a width and a height, but it also has what we call a depth. It's a fat pumpkin instead of being flat like the 2-dimensional pumpkins. So now it's your turn. Take a minute and use your imagination to think, what size, shape, and color pumpkin would you like to make? Are you going to give it, what kind of texture are you going to give it? And what kind of face are you going to put on it? Is it going to be a scary pumpkin, a friendly pumpkin? Let's take a minute and imagine. This week, I'm not going to have you draw your plan ahead of time. You're going to go right to create. So we're going to skip the plan step except for telling our family with our words what we're going to do. So you can say what kind of pumpkin you want to make. You're going to create a pumpkin again using your favorite color, shape, size, and texture. And then you're going to add a face and other interesting features. Use your imagination to make it unique. I'm going to show you a few examples, so I'm just going to drag my picture here and make it a little bit larger so I can share some examples. So here is a 2-dimensional pumpkin. You can see it's very flat. It does not have depth. This pumpkin is a square pumpkin, and it has triangle eyes, an oval nose, and it has a crazy mouth. The pumpkin, to me, looks a little confused. A 3-dimensional pumpkin can be used from items you have at home. I had an old coffee tin hanging around, so I colored it, and I added an interesting shapes for the eyes and the eyebrows and the nose and the mouth, and I even put on some color for the cheeks. This one, you'll notice, is not flat like the first square pumpkin. It's a cylinder shape, and it has a depth along with the height and width. So cylinders are a great shape, and a lot of our things at home are shaped like cylinders. Like a toilet paper roll might be great to make a cylinder pumpkin. I'm going to make this small again so we can look at the directions from the next slide. So now it's your turn to show me, and how are you going to do that? You're going to send me a recording of you and your pumpkin on Schoology. When you look on Miss McCormick's STEAM Enrichment Schoology course, you're going to see this week's assignment, October 22nd, Spookley the Square pumpkin. When you click on the blue, it will open up and you'll see the entire directions. The directions are: use your imagination and the materials and tools you have at home to create a unique pumpkin. You can make the pumpkin any size, shape, or color. You can also use different textures. So are you going to do something that's squishy, or something that's hard, smooth, or rough? When you are done, you're going to click on the comment box back in the Schoology course, and then the microphone to record yourself with your pumpkin. You can also add a message if you like. Then you'll hit submit. During the recording, be sure to say the name of your creation and explain what is the best part of your creation. So I'm going to demonstrate that with a different pumpkin. So here is my niece's favorite shape. Yep, you're right, it's a heart. You probably noticed that the shape of the pumpkin was a heart, and she included hearts in her eyes too. She also added silly hair and curly eyelashes along with a triangle nose and an oval mouth. And then she was debating whether she liked that mouth or not. She made a second mouth and she put teeth in it. I wonder which one of her mouths you like the best. So when you're creating yours, you might want to improve yours too, just like my niece was thinking of doing. So again, think of your favorite shape, and then you'll say the name of the pumpkin. So if I was going to be sharing this, I would say, my name is Amy Rivera, because that's her name, and my heart pumpkin is called Sparkle. My favorite part of the pumpkin is the crazy hair and the eyelashes, because I think that makes my pumpkin very unique. So you notice in the sentence, you're going to say what your favorite part is and add that because to give your evidence on why you like that the best. Let's go on to the final steps. So after you click on the comment box, you'll see that there is a microphone, and that will start the recording. You can also type me a message here if you would like to send me a little message. And then you can hit post. And don't forget that last step, which is to press submit to send your recording to Miss McCormick. Then my favorite part is when you get to watch your classmates' videos, because then you can be inspired. That means they make you think of other wonderful ideas. They inspire you. So go ahead and watch your classmates' work, and they'll see yours, and then we'll be inspired by each other to keep on creating. Happy fall, happy pumpkin creating time, and I can't wait to see your wonderful pumpkins. That's all for now. There we go, there's the stop button. Bye-bye for now.